if you're starting out now, you got a couple properties under management, or you just have your own properties. What is like the step one to starting to grow your property management company?
First thing I would do is a ton of marketing and get it to the point where my phone's ringing so heavily I can't take it. That's a good problem to have. You just throw money at it, right? So hopefully you have that. So it depends on where you're coming from. If you got a couple $100,000 to play with, throw it at marketing.
What kind of marketing?
SEO. Big time SEO, man. 99,000 search queries every second. 8.5 billion searches per day. If you can get 0.00001% of that, you're in pretty good shape, man.
Welcome to the Everyday Millionaire Show with Ryan Greenberg and Nick Kalpis. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Everyday Millionaire Show. We are here with Tony Cook. Tony, how you doing?
Pretty good, man.
Nick, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for coming, Tony.
Appreciate it.
So Tony comes from Bay Management Group. That's kind of where you are now, but why don't you give us a little elevator pitch on where it started and how it got here?
In terms of BMG or even prior to that?
Just prior to that, your personal life leading up to BMG, kind of fast forward through that and we'll then break down where you are now.
Yeah, sure. So, it started back in, back in the 80s, obviously, when I was born, and grew up very poor. Grew up with a young family. My parents had me as teenagers and whatnot, so it's kind of, blue-collar grind. Ultimately was the first one to go to college in my family. Once I got done with college, couldn't find a real good job up in Rochester, New York, so we decided to move down here. That was back in 2013, and got a random call from a recruiter, and had a job for a startup company that was BMG, and took a swing for it, man. Just went for it, and here we are 10 years later. Started out in accounting, and became the controller, and then eventually the owner approached me and wanted me to run the show. So, been doing that for about 7 years now.
Nice. So I saw in your bio, though, that you dropped out of high school.
I did.
And then went to college. So you just had a skip year there.
2
years. So how did that, what happened there? Why did you drop out? And what led you to come back to education after choosing to leave it?
It's a good question, man. It's a complex question. So my party years were basically from 17 to maybe 22 or so. But it started in high school. So in high school, I was a really good student, did really well, but followed the wrong crowd. And my brother followed the wrong crowd. He knows it, and ended up getting a lot of fights, and ultimately dropped out because there was a ton of people at the school that wanted our family, basically wanted to kick our butts. And took 2 years off, met my current wife, and their upbringing was a whole lot different than mine. And so she kind of pointed me in the right direction. She went to school. I decided to follow suit because I'm not going to be the non-breadwinner. And then naturally, it just kind of all unfolded from there.
Nice. So you got your GED, then you started applying for schools, and that's how you led to accounting. You just picked accounting. That was what interests you? Accounting just is kind of a boring thing, no offense. How did it come to accounting?
Dude, I have no idea.
It was just something that sounds good.
Dude, I grew up in a blue collar family, not a lot of business minds in it. There were some, but I didn't really speak with them that much. And so when I was going to apply, I tried to pick what I thought would be easy. That was just a natural thing. What's going to be easy? What's going to make me more than I'm making right now working this dead end job, basically. I think I was making $12 an hour or something. I was 19 years old, and I'm like, let's get out of this, and business came to mind. I'm like, let's learn about business. And then when you're going through business, you've got 20 different categories: finance, marketing. And I said, accounting seems easy to me. I'm a numbers guy. I like math. It was brutal, but that's why I chose it. I like math.
Yeah, Nick, would you say accounting is the easy, would that be the easy thing in your business?
It's probably not the easiest thing.
No.
It's something that's best suited for, delegating to someone else who can do it better.
Exactly.
Yeah, that accounting is one of the most important things in business. Nick and I have been talking about this for weeks, getting your books in order and all that stuff. But it is a daunting task, especially in property management and construction, the two industries that I'm in. But so how did that look? So you went to school, you got a 4-year degree in accounting.
Yep.
And then the recruiter got you a job with Bay Management.
Yep.
So Bay Management, they're now a massive company. What did it look like when you came on, and what was some of the things that you saw that were issues that as the accountant or the new person in accounting, had to kind of fix?
Oh, this is fun. I don't even know if this is public, but whatever. I don't think they'll care. So basically, when I came to BMG, I was the 10th or 11th employee. I can't remember exactly, but very small mom and pop shop out of Fells Point. Managed, I think, about 1,000 doors, mostly single family. So I started up in accounting. There's only 3 of us. We're packed in a row house. It was on 1800 block Eastern Avenue back in the day. So we're all packed in like sardines in this row home. And I immediately recognized they had absolutely no idea what they were doing. So the owner is phenomenal with sales, business. Like, he's a genius. He really is. I give him total props. But when it comes to books and accounting, he just doesn't want anything to do with it. And so I think for a couple of years, they just kind of let it go a little bit. And there was a big migration from, they were using only QuickBooks to AppFolio. It was completely botched like a year before I started there. And so the first thing I started to notice is like things just aren't adding up. Like the money's all there, everything's good, but it's like it's just not in order. Like the bank recs aren't done properly. And so it was literally a year and a half of cleanup.
So you said it was a startup, but
Yep.
you said when you got to them, they already had 1,000 units under management. How did they get from 0 to 1,000?
Pure marketing, man, and referrals. I don't know the exact beginning to this day, to be honest with you. I believe his father helped out with referring like some commercial people that were buying multifamily and whatnot. And then he just started marketing and getting calls. It's pretty much SEO is it's like 99% of our business is SEO.
And how many units do they have under management today?
We're about 7,000, just about.
So per 100 units that are added on, is there like a certain number of employees that should be added on?
Yep.
And let's say, for us, like let's say we have a small portfolio of 100 units.
Mhm.
Is that like a certain number of employees that should be on that staff?
Absolutely. And so initially, when you only have 1,000 doors, you don't know all these things unless you really studied it and have a plan of growth, like exponential growth. I'm sure Patrick had this plan the whole time. I never thought we'd get to this point. I started at a startup. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe we'll manage a couple thousand and it'll be 20 employees. We're 200 and something employees now. It's pretty wild. But we didn't until maybe 5 years ago figure that out. And we tweaked with it. And then, of course, with COVID, you have VAs now. You have more remote workers coming in, to the situation. So now you can actually staff up more. So really the answer depends. Do you want to run lean and put a lot on your staff? Or do you want to run less lean and not do that? Typically what we like to do for every 150 single family doors, one property manager, again, depends on, we're third party management. So it really depends on, the owners and how hands-on they want to be. And we allow a lot of hands-on, which I know a lot of companies don't do. So it's about 1 PM for every 150, a tech for maybe every 250, because I think we have about 4 per office. And then accounting, 1 for every like 300 doors. And then leasing agents, it just depends on the time of the year in the market. We do commission based, so they kind of come and go. But
so
it's maybe every
is that
200.
like one property manager for 150 that deals with like everything, like tenant placement, dealing with turnovers and leasing?
No. Yeah, so we haven't gone the portfolio route like that. I know some companies are doing it. We're departmentalized, but as an owner, as a client, your property manager is your account manager, basically. So the account manager or property manager, they're the face of our business after the business development manager. So you get handed off to them, and you're with them from here on out. But when your property goes to get leased, then they pull in the leasing agent. They introduce themselves, give you the comps and all that. They're doing the leasing behind the scenes, giving you an update weekly, but you're still engaging with the PM continuously there. And then, of course, we have in-house maintenance techs that can do the turnovers and inspections and all that.
So the property manager, what's their kind of day-to-day tasks when they're passed on? Somebody signs on a bunch of units, they're passed on to this property manager. What is the property manager doing? And then that leasing person, are they working for you guys, or are they just like agents on teams all over the place that just come and do commission-based placements?
Both on that, and I'll get to that. So property managers, basically, I'd say 70% of their job is service requests and turnover work. So heavy maintenance. They have to troubleshoot maintenance really well. They have to project manage remotely with the agents and the techs being the boots on the ground if they need to send pictures or whatever. Most of them are overseas, and we've been able to do that. Now, some owners don't like it, but most are totally fine with it. You're getting great service. Instead of having 250 doors like they used to, now they have 120 to 150. 150. And so they're responding to you very quickly. If we put too much on them, it's going to be a problem. And so largely maintenance, compliance, getting rental licenses, getting lead certs done, managing the turnovers, calling tenants when they haven't paid their rent, owner or disputes with other tenants in multifamily buildings. They're kind of similar to what you would have in a multifamily setting. Like they're really running the show there and kind of coordinating with different individuals in our company to get stuff done. But they're largely maintenance and turnover work and just making sure the tenants and owners are happy and whatnot.
So what are the best tasks to give VAs in the property management scenario?
Every single thing that can't be done locally. So I would say literally everything, but you need somebody locally for accounting.
Like money. They don't have access to like financial stuff, right?
Oh yeah, they do. They do all of our books. They do all of our recs, everything.
But they could send money, like.
Oh yeah,
really?
Yeah, that's a scary thing to think about.
Yeah,
isn't
that's
it?
scary.
Yeah,
that's
so
scary.
you lock it down, man. So we've used different banks, but you lock it down with them. So you have different tiers of approvals, right? And so you have. Initially we start with accounts payable, and it's like, well, you're just entering bills, no problem, right? And then we realized we're spending a lot of time doing ACHs and stuff. Like AppFolio at the time it wasn't as simple as it like a click now. And so we're like, why not just give the VA a try? She's been here a while. I trust her, and she's actually my assistant today. But we gave her a shot, and basically what we did is told the bank, hey, let her issue them. That's fine. Somebody needs to approve it in our accounting department, and then there's a secondary approval, and we have an auditor in-house. So the likelihood of something happening is zero. It's never happened before.
Do they handle tenant calls, or do all of the maintenance requests run through AppFolio?
Who would the
property VAs?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So we have each office has about 10 property managers, and let's just call it 1,000 plus doors. So yeah, absolutely. 99% of the time it's going to be in the portal. I encourage our property managers, if somebody calls you and it's a simple request, just tell them to go to their portal. It's documented, it's clear. There's no communication breakdown. If we need clarity, we'll call. We just ask that you upload a photo and or a video and just make it clear. And if it's not, they'll call and they'll modify the work order, and you can see that in your portal.
So just for clarification, you said the property manager handles that, but not. Does the VAs handle any type of like maintenance requests that come through AppFolio?
So the VA is the property manager.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the only put it this way. So the three main departments in property management: leasing, maintenance, property managers. Right. Though the leasing and the maintenance are here, all the property managers are there, except for like one per office for the multifamily owners to go to court, things of that nature. And
how does the company train those new VAs that they're bringing on as property managers who aren't local?
Very extensively. So switching from local people that have been doing this for 10, 15, 20 years, et cetera, or even just a couple of years, but understood our culture, how we operate, how our buildings are made and built. It's so much different than the Philippines and Mexico and things of that nature. Like they have like a lot of terracotta and whatnot. They're not used to shingles. Like shingle, what's it? Drywall? What's that? Like it's the craziest things you hear. And so what we do is the first week is like huge, just, doing your fair housing training, learning Asana and AppFolio and Outlook and all those things, Microsoft Teams, you name it, SharePoint. And then essentially they're plugged in they're shadowing somebody. So you're going to go anywhere from a month to 2 months with just shadowing somebody else that's managing their own portfolio of 150. And then what we do is we're continuously gauging them. We don't have quizzes yet, but their supervisor's talking to them at one-on-ones every week. And essentially when they feel they're ready, the trainer feels they're ready, and the manager feels they're ready, then we start slowly giving them property. Now, every once in a while, it sucks. A property manager will up and leave. Then you got to take the whole portfolio and plug it on a newbie. Mm-hmm. That becomes a problem. There's not a whole lot you can do about that. So what we try to do is just overstaff. And we didn't have that luxury pre-COVID. Pre-COVID was, I hope this doesn't happen, because if it does, we're screwed. And that would be bad for customer service. The margins didn't make sense to have more PMs. Now you can just load up. So we have literally like 1 or 2 extra per office. I want to say chilling. They're watching, helping, doing things, but they're ready on a whim's notice to take over.
So the contractors that you guys use, yep. Whether in-house or just subcontractors do the maintenance calls, are they logged in as a vendor in AppFolio for the PMs to assign a task to, or do the PMs just have a list of the contractors to call whenever there's a leaky toilet, for example?
Yep, good question. So we have both. So in-house, we tried to over time have everything be in-house. Problem is you know how much management you need for that? You run a business. You know, you're going to need project managers, you're going to need superintendents, what have you. Like we don't know roofing. There's no one in my company that maybe there is. I've never spoken to him. That is an expert roofer, right? Like we don't hire expert roofers. Maybe they did it in their previous life and I'm not aware of it. But for those things, we just outsource it, man. And what we do is everything's electronic. So you're going to get a work order sent to your email, and then they're going to accept it through email, and then they're going to do the job, send the pictures, coordinate with the tenant, send the invoice and all that jazz.
So that's essentially how the PM communicates with the contractors via email?
Email and phone call, text largely. And
but
then
they've set the work orders and stuff through AppFolio, right? I mean,
yeah, you create the work order in AppFolio, and we actually have AppFolio Plus, so it triggers the workflows, which is amazing. And so it's kind of like automated in a sense, where it tells you as a PM exactly what to do. You know, go check the previous work orders, see if there's any warranties, et cetera. See if the owner uses their own contractor. See if the owner doesn't want that plumber at their property. The craziest things come up. So that would be created in AppFolio, emailed to the vendor. But if it's in-house, you can just create it and like send it through Teams, email, calendar invites. Like there's different ways you can get that done, but it ultimately lands on the maintenance tech's calendar and they're notified and they know what to do.
Is there like a follow-up period? Let's say you send it, the PM sends the work order to an in-house guy and he doesn't hear from him for a day or two. Does he just follow back up with him to make sure that the work has been scheduled and or completed?
Yeah. So if it's a vendor of ours, absolutely. If it's in-house, there's really no need to worry because we have maintenance coordinators as well that kind of help out the PM department only for the in-house guys. So if you're a PM and you want a work order and you want to send Ryan to take care of it and he's in the field, you're actually going to send it to me, the maintenance coordinator. I'm going to look at it and sit there and say, okay, where is this property? Because we're all over, man. Who's my closest tech that lives there? We always think about like, make sure you're sending your techs to close jobs. And then you try to make it so the tech ends their day close to their house. You'll lose people if you don't do that. Mm-hmm. Like people will get tired of driving an hour home when it could have been 10 minutes. You know, why did I start my day here and end way out there? So the maintenance coordinator within like minutes is going to go ahead and look at all that and then send a calendar invite to both the PM and the tech. And so you're notified almost immediately that it's on the books. And then whenever that calendar invite comes up, you as the PM, and there's a follow-up in AppFolio on the work order, you're going to know if you didn't hear back at that point when it should have been done. And then that's when you're going to say, hey, I never got the completed photos or the invoice. And that's all in the workflow that will kind of tell you to check on that.
Gotcha. And I found it a lot easier when scheduling these maintenance requests to have the subcontractor or in-house guy schedule it directly with the tenant. Is that what you guys do most of the time?
150% yes. In-house, we kind of let the PMs and the techs, like some techs want to do that, some don't want to do that. PM, some want to, some don't. I'm very loose with that. Like it doesn't matter to me. One of you needs to do it. And if you work here and you want to do it, great. It's getting done. That's all I care about. I would prefer that everything is done by the person that's handling the job. Mm-hmm. That would be much better. But it's just, some PMs don't like it. They're old school. That's how they've done it before, and they just want to deal with it. And some techs that want to be very hands-on with tenants.
So one thing that I deal with a lot, my staff right now works 8 to 4.
Yep.
And most times where there's problems with property management is from 4 to all the other times that people aren't working, because people come home from work and that's when they notice things that are wrong with their property. Mm-hmm. So I'm constantly dealing with that issue where it's like it's 6:30 and the guy just got home from work and realized the toilet's leaking. Like, how do you deal with that? Do you have people working different shifts so they cover that nighttime shift?
Mm-hmm. I'll take you through we've tried everything basically. And if you have a better solution, please tell me.
No, I'm asking you because I don't.
This is a fun topic. So back in the day when BMG was young, the maintenance techs were on call. We literally had an extra phone that they'd carry around. And that's very common in the industry still, especially with multifamily. And so you as a tenant, when you're calling in, you're getting that tech directly. Problem is that like takes away so much from the guy that literally just worked all day. And so we were offering them extra money to do it. So, hey, every time you have the phone, $500 for the week, whether you get 1 calls or 50. So we started with that. The techs got burned out. So over time, they're just like, I can't do this anymore, man. I just work 10 hours. I'm shot. The last thing I want to do is pick up a damn phone now. AppFolio came out with the maintenance contact center. I think they call it smart maintenance now. It's terrible, to be honest with you. It's just not good. They don't train people properly. I've expressed my frustration with them on countless occasions. So we tried that for like 2 years. It just didn't work very well. Then we went out and said, you know what? Instead of having our in-house team do it, why don't we just outsource it to somebody else? And there are companies that do this, but we thought it'd be much cheaper and better to control it internally. So we went out and just found 2 people per office to do it. Typically, when you put the ad out, you're finding retirees. Both people in Baltimore, I believe, are retirees right now. They're home. They're not doing a lot outside of the house. They're like, whatever, I'll pick up the phone, no big deal. It's funny though, when you start to analyze it, so we track every call, right? And so I know how many calls we get. 99% of them are not emergencies. Let's be honest. You get out of work and it's like you find something in your house. It's not an emergency. We're not coming out tonight. So that's monitored through the portal. And then if they call in, they get routed to the appropriate person. They're going to determine if it's an emergency or not. 99% of the time it's not. And what I analyzed over time is you're really dealing with maybe 5 tickets a week, and that's with the amount of properties we have. It was not much at all. And I'm like, why are we paying AppFolio a fortune when I could pay this guy $500 a week? And sometimes they get no calls, and he's just, great, thanks for the $500.
Yeah. Yeah, I just always end up, I'm that guy on the weekend that's just dealing with all the stuff when the people come home and they realize that this is wrong, and everything to the tenants is an emergency. Like, everything. It doesn't matter.
And I hear
what it is. And sometimes I get it, but there's other times where I'm like, I really can't do anything about this right now. Like, it's literally 6:30 on a Friday.
Yeah.
If I call my guy to go back to work right now, he's going to quit tomorrow.
Yeah. And it's even tougher because your stuff's in-house. I think you have some stuff in-house. When it's third party, you got to be more mindful of the cost than you would with your own stuff. With your own stuff, it's like, okay, I'll eat an extra $50 for a call, whatever. Like, just, I don't want to deal with that on the weekend.
Because then you're dealing with the owner that's bitching about.
Now I'm managing your property and I get a call. Now, if it's going to be 150 versus 100, I got to check with you, man. Is Ryan going to be good with that? Like, and you might not be. And so then, all right, what do I do now? So, we try to be reasonable. I wouldn't say beat down vendors. That's not the right way to put it, but we try to have reasonable pricing with them. We give a lot of volume, right? So if you're getting $400,000 worth of work a year on like service calls, I would hope that you're not going to charge us $150 to go out. Now, and I work very closely with our contractors to make sure they're making money and stuff. It's really important. Like, if you're not making money, you're not going to be happy. You're not going to do a good job.
Motivated to do.
You're not going to be motivated. And then owners, you try to explain, look, you don't want to pay the cheapest guy. You want to get good contractors in there.
So, on average, how many maintenance techs do you need per 1,000 properties?
4. So 4. 1 for every 250 is kind of our math. And it varies. I'd say 200 to 250.
And are they all salary or?
Hourly with quarterly bonuses based off like how much money they generate the company.
Gotcha. So how much do you guys charge? Is it like a percent that you guys charge for like maintenance stuff?
For our guy, like hourly rate for our guys, or
I guess
we don't have flat rate billing at all.
No, I guess like if you're coming out to one of my properties to do like a plumbing job and it's $175, you guys charge $200, for example. Is there like a percent like on top of what the maintenance cost and what you guys are adding on to make your money also?
Like a markup, or like no, yes and no. It's tricky, so you got to be careful with that, because as an investor, when you go to a management company, and it's all over the internet, you expect to pay less money. And I think it's a common misconception, to be honest with you. As an investor, let's say you got 10 properties. You go to a PM, you're like, you're going to be able to do it better than me. You're going to be able to do it cheaper than me, et cetera. It's not always the case, because our vendors are vetted. They're insured. We make sure, and we will literally cut you off in 2 seconds if you don't send us your liability and workers' comp. So you got to be really, really careful with that stuff. So the vendors, when we negotiate, when we bring you on, we actually will negotiate and say, hey, look, we need to make money in this as well. So instead of charging the owner like a markup fee or something like that, we essentially tell them, hey, look, you're going to get a crap load of business. You're not going to have to market, et cetera. And we kind of see it as like a referral fee. Essentially, on each job, we do a 20% fee. And so the vendor's taking the hit there. So they're essentially coming in, they're going to charge market or so, and then they're going to take that little hit to essentially make sure BMG makes money, the owner's not overpaying, et cetera. So the vendor ultimately does take the hit, but it's the volume of work where we're able to keep them forever. Most of our vendors have been with us forever.
So what are some of the maintenance things, if any, that you have to hire out someone who's not in-house to take care of?
Roofing, big plumbing jobs, if you have to do a main water line and whatnot, HVAC work, we don't have guys that can do installs and whatnot. We have guys that can do service requests. The problem is I don't like to send them out because if they go and then they see, okay, I know what it is, but I can't do
fix
this.
it.
Now the owner's like, why'd you charge me? Now I got to go to another company. Like that used to happen, and I would just credit the owner. But I ultimately said, guys, let's just not, because the problem is, I bring in somebody that's an HVAC tech that, licensed. They're very, very good at what they do. There's no one else that can oversee them to ensure it's actually getting done right. We essentially have to trust that guy that he's getting it done because no one's coming in behind him.
Right.
That's expensive for business to do that.
The problem is and I thought about this too, like even with 7,000 units, like to have your own like HVAC company in-house is like a whole nother thing to manage, where the profitability wouldn't make sense unless you like scaled it up.
Yeah.
And then the guys in the field, I have this problem all the time when I send my guys for like a simple thing that like I think is a simple thing. Well, they don't have like an HVAC truck with all the different tools and different, materials on that, or electric or whatever.
Yep.
That's why it's always better, I think, just send the professional that like has the plumbing truck. So he has all the fittings in the truck.
Exactly.
Because then our guys, what ends up happening is they go to the house, they say, oh, this is wrong. And then they drive to Home Depot.
Just chewing up clock.
So then I'm like, okay, well, it just took 3 hours and the plumber would have charged us $300. And this guy it took $280 to do it with our in-house guy. And it probably didn't even get done right.
Right.
So like,
it's very common.
what did we really just win here?
Exactly. It's very, very common, man. And unfortunately, so we have an in-house recruiting team. And so, they're recruiting techs all the time. And it's one of those things where when that's not fully what you're doing and it's just kind of part of your business, it's an important part, very important. Tenants renew because of that. But when you have that, I mean, you just got to be extremely careful, man. You got to do it right. When you bring them in, you don't necessarily know. We're not like expert, like you would know, you do this stuff, run a contracting business. We don't run a contracting business. We run a property management business, but there's not all these managers that can make sure these guys actually know what they're doing. They're not coming in and demonstrating work to us. They're coming and we're hoping they can get it done right. And if they don't, we're going to eat it and send someone that can. So and then hopefully it works out.
I have a question. I get between maybe 30 to 60 pieces of mail per week. And how do the PMs who are working in different areas, how do they handle things that they can't physically receive in the mail?
Yeah, so that's there's maybe 4 or 5 people per office that are local. One of them is the person at the front desk who's actually not even the receptionist. So they're overseas as well when you call our company. You'd probably have no idea because they speak just like perfect English and whatnot. But there's one person at each office that handles mail, keys. So if you have to go to our office to get keys, they're going to do that. Filings on tenants, like if they have to go to court and whatnot, and various other like office order supply, getting supplies, all different things. But there's someone on site at each office to handle that. That's one of the things. I know there's solutions out there for this, but they'll essentially get the mail, they'll scan it in, and then they'll fire it off. PM. Yeah, we'll either drop it in a folder or email it to them depending on what it is.
I just recently hired a VA. This is like his second week now, maybe his first full week, but second week. He's been just like amazing and like just such an integral part of my life now. Organizing my emails in the morning and then
that's great.
Going through, we have like a morning meeting and then an afternoon meeting and we set the goals. Like he's taken over the Instagram, the Facebooks, like he's going into my personal Facebook and messaging people from the Maryland Investors Network that are looking for contractors. And like all of those things are tasks that I was burning up time in front of my computer.
Yep.
When I should be doing things like this and out at events and meeting people or whatever else.
Yeah.
When did you make that decision to go VA or heavy on the VAs? And then did you hire, like I got mine through a like placement company. Is that kind of what you're doing as well through like placement companies essentially?
Yeah. So I would say like 2 years prior to COVID is when I started to think about it, so we're not very active. Like a lot of people know us because the internet. Like we're not out at events ever. I mean, I just met you guys. I've been around quite a while now. Right. We just don't do that stuff. So we're very, we rely on SEO and we're more behind the scenes. It's wild. But 2 years prior to that, I started talking about it. Because I'm seeing it in the conference circuit and property management. I'm seeing all the big boys do this, and I'm just like, we're not ready for that. I don't like to be on the cutting edge of things. I think it can be lucrative. But you're playing a dangerous game when you go, even with ChatGPT, which I've largely implemented, but I waited 6 months. I'm like, let me make sure this isn't a waste of my time.
And the 4 version that you pay for is way better.
Yeah, we have that.
Yeah,
It's great.
yeah.
It's great. We do our listings and all kinds of stuff with that. It's fantastic. But yeah, I mean, I was talking about it for a while because margins, and I'm just looking at it. It's like owners are beating us up over management fees, like wanting to pay $100 flat when it's like, man, your rent's like $3,000. Like, it's you can pay more than that. 2, we can't run with $100 a month. It's not going to work. Having to pay the PM and all the rest of our team to do all the work. And so I started to think about it, but when COVID hit, it's like, okay, we have to do this now. We're watching other companies just get destroyed out there, and companies that are bigger than us, companies that are smaller than us, it got very expensive. Inflation went through the roof, everything went up. You have to get your costs down somehow. And so naturally we went with the easiest things first. Like, what are the things that aren't as scary to do? And for us, it was entering bills, accounts payable. It's like, how hard could that be? I could do that at my house in my boxers, right? So why can't someone in Mexico do it in theirs?
Right.
So we started with accounting, and we stuck with accounting, and it was through a placement agency. We used 3 different ones initially, and it went pretty well. There was high turnover, crazy high turnover. And so our average staff member has been with our company for a little over 2 years, which is pretty solid. We were having PMs leave every month and accountants leaving every single month.
What was the reason for that?
It depends what country you're dealing with, to be honest with you. And I don't know how to say that nicely, but it's a culture thing, I feel like, largely. Like, for example, in the Philippines, it's just, there's more like obedience there. They're used to being treated much differently than we are here. And there's like issues with illnesses and things of that nature, like major crises are happening all the time. Natural disasters, typhoons.
It's
and
funny, my
power outages. And
my VA the other day is like telling me that they just had a freaking 7.2 earthquake.
He's not lying.
They had
in
to
Mexico,
go
it
to
happens
like,
all the time.
They had to like go to like some shelter for a couple hours, and I'm like, holy shit, dude! You okay? He's like,
where was
back
he
at
from?
work now.
What country?
From the Philippines.
Oh
Philippines?
yeah, dude.
Shout out to Carl.
Yeah, hey Carl. So there's literally been countless times that's happened, like where an owner will not the owner calling constantly, but we've had situations where an owner will call, hey, can't get in touch with so and so, and it's like, they're in the Philippines, man. There's blackout there right now. That's something you got to deal with. And so we learned. The first year was a massive learning experience. I think we did great, and I don't think we had much of an impact in terms of like losing property or pissing people off or anything like that. But you start to learn and you start to screen a whole lot better. And so what I did naturally is look at what all the staffing agencies are doing, just do it in-house and do it better. Screen the heck out of them. Make sure their internet is fast. Make sure they can type very fast. Make sure they can speak very good. Get introduction videos from them before you ever even call them and waste your time. Have them do write-ups about various different things to make sure they know what they're talking about. I don't care if they're actually using ChatGPT or not. You were smart enough to do it and send me the right information, weren't you? So that's kind of how I look at it. But our screening is heavy on that now. We use onlinejobs.ph is a really good website. It's like $99 a month, and you literally have profiles of people on there. And so if someone screws you over, go on there and put a post about it. Now their review is going to drop, and I'm not going to hire them because what happened to you. You can't do that here, right? If only you could do that with Tenants, right? You can't do it. America's different, but over there, it's different.
So what other countries do you have VAs in besides the Philippines?
So it started with the Philippines only. Then we went to Mexico. We're in Jamaica, Kenya. I think we have one in Egypt right now. Canada, we have one. It's maybe Britain or something. We're all over now.
Are there any areas that you find more beneficial based on the time zones and other reasons?
Yeah, so time zone doesn't matter because they're going to work our schedule, right? It is a problem with holidays and whatnot. And what I always tell them is, hey, we have these holidays off. You don't have to have the 4th of July off. It means nothing to you. That's totally fine. Take off your holiday, switch it up. No big deal. And then anytime somebody's off in our company, there's a backup. So, we may or may not let the owner know that depending on how long they're out. If they're out for a day, no need to let anyone know. Just if something comes in, they'll take care of it. If they're out for a month, well, yeah, we're going to communicate and make sure you know what's going on. So yeah, I mean, it just depends. It just depends on the area.
So growing a property management portfolio from 1,000 to over 7,000, are there like breakthroughs, and are there parts where let's say you're at 1,000, you get to 1,500, and then at 1,700 you start losing money until you get to 2,000, and that's when you start making money again? Did you see that in that growth?
Yeah, man, we cracked the foundation so much back in like 2015 through 2018. That was our year. That was our learning years, I would say. Heavily learning about. Look, we're all young. Like at the time, I think I was like early 30s, late 20s. Like remember, I took some years off to party, so it's like we're figuring this thing out. And the owner's only 2 years older than me, and our average staff member is probably 30 in their young 30s or something like that. And so we're young, we're hungry, we work hard. You know, we do all those things. And so we're always looking at the bottom line. We are so critical of the financials. I'm bonused on it. Other people are bonused on it, depending on your role. Everyone's incentivized in our company for the most part to do a really good job. Not we're going to fire you if you don't. Right. So incentivize. And naturally people want your margins to stay low. Or I'm sorry, your margins to stay high. They want you to make money. And so if everybody wants you to make money in the company because they want to make money, it's almost like they feel like they're part owner, even though you don't have the equity. You have a profit share, maybe, you know, you get a percentage of your maintenance income or whatever it is. They're essentially running a business within your business. And that gives them that kind of that feeling of I'm running my own thing, even though it's almost like a franchise feel though, where it's like, hey, you need to do it this way, but do your thing.
Yeah. So what would you say to somebody that was like just starting out? They have a couple properties under management, you know, 5 properties under management. What's like step one on growing a property management company?
Yeah, I actually didn't answer your question fully. Let me get back to him really quick. No, that was on me. So it's tough. What I hear, so I got there at the 1,000 unit mark. What I hear is about 250 is where you start to struggle pretty badly. And it's like, it's not enough to bring on the staff I need, right? Because I said you need you're going to need 2 PMs, but you really want 2 PMs for over 300 doors. So you're overpaying a little bit, and that's hard for someone that's small. And so, you know, you're going to need a tech or 2. That's great because they're going to save you money. You know, like you don't want to outsource when you can pay someone, you know, market or whatever. You're going to need someone to do your books. Is that going to be you? Probably not. Get a VA to do it. Now you just got the VA to do that. So clearly you were doing that for a while and you're like, man, things start to get to a point where it's like a feel. You just feel it in your business. So there's no hard numbers in my opinion. When you get to different employee numbers, that becomes a problem. So when we hit 50 staff members, Maryland starts to change the game on you. Now you got to provide certain benefits and do different things. And that was a whole experience. Now you're getting audited every single year by either the state, the Fed, whoever, because why the hell is your company growing so exponentially? Look at the SEO, look at the work, you know? So there's breakthroughs that happen, but all along the way, you need to be looking at your bottom line at least every month. What is our profit margin? How do we do in comparison to the same month last year? What can we do better? Why did we spend money there? Be hyper critical of that stuff. Sorry. And then your question about the...
Yeah. So if you're starting out now, you got a couple properties under management, or you just have your own properties. What is like the step one to starting to grow your property management company? Are you immediately starting to hire people? Are you building a vendor list? Like, what is your kind of step one?
If I was doing it from the scratch right now, I mean, I would know how to do it because, again, I didn't start this company, but I know how to do it. First thing I would do is a ton of marketing and get it to the point where my phone's ringing so heavily I can't take it. That's a good problem to have. You know, you just throw money at it, right? So hopefully you have that. So it depends on where you're coming from.
Yeah.
If you got a couple $100,000 to play with, throw it at marketing.
What kind of marketing though?
SEO, big time SEO, man. Look up the stat after this. What percentage of the time are people on Google? It's insane. And
what percentage of what?
Of the time,
your time
are
are on Google
right
each
here.
day. Yeah, look it up. Google, and then look at the top apps that are visited daily. Google is absolutely crushing everything. It's not even close. It's like they're running a marathon.
So when you say SEO, you mean just like getting your website dialed in to a point where when somebody types it into Google, it's coming up right away.
Yep. So think about it like a brick and mortar in the most popular area in town. So you're getting everyone that's walking by you, right? You want to be there. Yeah, look at this. It's insane. 99,000 search queries every second.
That's crazy.
8.5 billion searches per day. If you can get 0.00001% of that, you're in pretty good shape, man. And we have owners in Antarctica. We have owners all over, man. More people we're a global economy these days, so you can do this stuff from anywhere. I know wholesalers that are doing this all over the world. They've never been to these places before. And so Google's the way to go. Search engine optimization. Get your website like you would your building when people are walking by going, ooh, like make your website like that. Make it dialed in terms of like the link building and all that. I'm not an SEO expert, by the way. So people will listen to this. I'm like, this dude, Patrick focuses on that. I'm more of the operations guy, but I do know, when you go to Google, those paid searches at the top, we did that for a long time. PPC, each time they click, you pay. Some people your competitors will click, 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 and ring it up. We've had that happen. We tinkered with that, and I think we still do it, but largely the organic searches and the map listings, when people are searching and we're really dialed into keywords, we know what people are searching for based off Google algorithms, Google, I forget what it is. But anyway, we know what people are typing. We want to rank first. And so we're going to have content all over our blogs and everywhere that basically has those keywords, so that the more information you give, my understanding, to Google that is valuable, like to the people that are searching, the more they're going to like you and put you up front. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to my website and you're learning something or you like it and you're staying there, they're going to like you and they're going to rank you higher. We do really good about that. We come up first everywhere and everything.
And that's like an individual or company that you guys hire to handle all of that?
Initially, for like the first 5 years, maybe 4 years. I don't know exactly. We tinkered with a lot of SEO companies. Then Patrick decided to become an expert himself. And he's like, oh yeah, they're not doing it right. Not even close.
So, okay. But now you got great SEO. Now you have a ton of people calling you
nonstop.
What's next? Cause that could be overwhelming.
Okay.
Right?
So we're still in the beginning phases. Okay. So calls are coming in like crazy. You can cherry pick them. Right? Like, hey, sorry, I'm not, when we tried to go up into southern Pennsylvania, this is a good example. We tried to get up in Hanover and whatnot. The margins aren't there. The rents are too low. It's hard to break through a new place without buying a place there or having some type of presence. It's very, very difficult to do that. So it's okay to tell somebody, hey, I know you found me online. I'm not taking more clients right now. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, that's a problem you can fix. And so then you go out and hire a business development manager, someone that can take that on for you, and you pay them 100% commission. For every new property you sign up, I'm going to give you whatever amount of money, 250, 350, 500, whatever you want to do. In the beginning, it could be stupid high just to get the business in, because property management's residual. And so that really helps to have that residual. So business development manager, I would do first. I'd be working with realtors to do all the leasing for me. And then at a certain point, I'm going to stop using the realtors. I'm going to bring in my own leasing agents. And then behind the scenes, as soon as my wife or whoever's doing my books and stuff for me, my marketing can't do it, I'm going to bring in a VA to start doing that. And so it's just kind of, that's kind of the flow I would take with it personally.
But would you have a real estate team and bring the leasing agent on to it?
Have a real estate team?
Or would you just, because you said you would hire out like a leasing agent who is just like an independent agent, but then you would hire and then bring him.
So then just bring in a
in-house.
full-time leasing agent.
Yeah,
like somebody just full-time that just does leasing.
Yeah, so in Maryland, you don't need to be licensed
Gotcha.
to lease up property, which is great. In Pennsylvania, you do. In Virginia, I always say Northern Virginia because that's where our office is. In Virginia, you do, but in Maryland, you don't, which is where a lot of our properties are. So you can go hire the guy working at the shoe store sales. And as a matter of fact, I won't say his name, but he's like one of the best agents we've ever had, and he's been here for 6, 7, 8 years. I don't even know now. And he just dominated at shoe sales. So our leasing manager at the time was like, you need to come work for us. He's great. He's led our company in leasing, I think once or twice, and he's always in the top 3. And so you just bring him on and you pay him commission. Hey, for every lease you sign and you move in, once you hand in the lockbox and the signed lease and all that jazz, first month's rent and whatnot, boom, you're going to get a commission on your next payroll. So they are employed on commission, but they do very well for themselves.
How do you guys market the vacant units?
Through AppFolio, which syndicates to like 50 other places on the MLS. Craigslist, we're not doing as much these days because Facebook Marketplace kind of took over there. But that's the primary ones.
What would you do if, going back to Ryan's, like if you just started out, you have 5 properties, how would you market in that scenario?
Facebook Marketplace, 100% in Zillow. 99%, literally 99% of our leads come from Zillow.
Yeah,
right now.
Same.
It's insane. We see it in AppFolio. It's nuts. It's a lot.
I hate the MLS too. Like, I was talking about this with Marcus before. Like, I hate it because I don't want another agent involved in my freaking $1,500 lease.
Drives me crazy.
It is so frustrating that I have to pay you like by law anything, and like if you're like the buyer's agent for a tenant, you're already just no offense, bottom of the barrel agents.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So like I'm just paying you for nothing. So, but it is like something that we promise our,
The
our
owners want
clients,
it.
you're like,
They want it.
I'll put
They
on
want
the
more
MLS,
exposure.
but
Yeah.
I'm gonna waste my broker's fee. I'm gonna waste this, and hopefully,
Yep.
I'm gonna pay some numbskull to.
Yeah. And the big problem with that, and we use, especially in the Virginia office, we use so many agents. You have to be licensed there. It's hard to find agents to come lease units for you when they could go out and dominate selling property and whatnot. So, yeah, I mean, the big problem I have with the agent stuff, and they have the same problems, right? They don't like to work with us, I don't think, a lot of the time. We hear complaints all the time. The communication problems, right? So when our agents are communicating, I told you we pass off the PM. They're then working with the agent. The owner knows our agent, so they're with one person, the whole two people with the PM and the agent. There's communication every week on showings, applications, like feedback on the property, price reduction ideas, all of that stuff. If they're going to throw incentives, the whole nine. And then when they move the tenant in, it's a good experience. They get our move-in packet. They know how to operate the property the way we want them to operate it, the way we've told the owners it's going to be operated. Sorry if that went out, but basically, when you have a realtor or an agent, that's not happening. They're making promises to tenants sometimes. Oh yeah, they'll paint that room. No worries. Yeah, they'll get that done when you move in. I can't tell you how many times that's happened.
Who goes over who reviews the applications?
Yep. So we have application processors. Right now we have two that do the entire company. And so you never want to have your applications approved by your agents. They're just going to move anyone in. That's a conflict of interest in a major way. And so actually the owner's mother still to this day does a lot of them for our offices. Like we have very strict requirements. We're more strict than most. And so we get complaints all the time from tenants. I got a 620. You need a 640. I'm sorry. Like it's just fair housing, man. Be careful. So strict requirements and you'll be good to go.
What's the minimum? You guys require 640?
640 right now, yeah. I think back in the day it was like 600. And we've just continuously increased it since COVID, really.
So how much difficult is it to find those type of tenants at 640 than it was back then, maybe when you had it at 600?
The tenants at 640 are more challenging for sure. People are ruining their credit these days, and at least from what I see, I don't know the data on it, but I can just tell like the amount of denied applications we get is obscene. It depends on the area. So if you're marketing in Canton, you're going to get a 700, 750, 800. Like that's no problem. I rarely see a 640 in those nicer neighborhoods, right? But if you have a property, say in Pigtown or something, I like Pigtown. I would live there back in the day. Getting a 640 is going to be hard. A lot of time you have young kids going to college and whatnot. They don't even have credit. So you have cosigner situations and whatnot. Heck, you even get people from China coming over. You get people from all over the world coming over for Hopkins. It's like they don't even have a social security card, but we have ways to manage all that.
Do you guys ask any preliminary questions before running them through the application process to automatically eliminate them?
Oh yes. Tenant Turner, if you haven't heard of it, is fantastic. We're actually just implementing it now in one of our offices. We've had it in our Philly office. I just didn't know anything about it because I just started working with that office recently. But Tenant Turner does all of that for you. So they go to your listing, click, boom, and you're immediately pre-qualified right then and there. They're asking all the questions. And if you don't want to answer right there, cool, call the number. And then you're going to get like a dialing service that'll basically do the same thing. And then you can click 3 to get to the agent. And the idea is, as an agent, you don't want to pick up the phone a million times to waste your time pre-qualifying
so Tenant
someone.
Turner, is that so you send a link to the potential tenant and they go through it, and that's kind of just like eliminates them or allows them to get to the next step?
Yep. So it integrates with AppFolio right now. And so when you go to one of our listings and you go to inquire, it's taking you to Tenant Turner now. And it's basically like an automated, it's not automated, but it's you're answering questions. And as you go through, boom, 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 boom. And then if you want a showing and you're pre-qualified according to our criteria that it is in that automation, then you can schedule a showing directly with the agent who Tenant Turner has the schedules built in the background. So, and then once you schedule, the agent will get an email and they click approve or don't approve or modify or what have you. And you can allow so many people to go to a property at once, which is great. So you get like 10 people at a time, really is what you want to do. But It's great. Tenant Turner is awesome. Yeah.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, I don't know that Cody uses Tenant Turner. I'll have to figure that one out.
It's a no-brainer. I think it's like $1 a unit per month or something. And it literally takes all of the calls and admin work and pre-qualifying.
I know we have like a questionnaire.
Yeah.
The property management questionnaire, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Through AppFolio, but yeah, I don't know about that. So are you investing yourself? Do you own some properties as well? What does that portfolio look like?
Yeah, so up until last year, I would consider myself not very risk adverse. Yeah. I invested in index funds forever, just index funds. I read what's the book that got me into this years ago? It was Jack Bogle's book. I forget the name of it, but basically he's like, all you need to do is buy an index fund in the S&P 500 or VTSAX and ride it out. Ignore the noise, ignore the news, ignore everything. Don't listen to what your buddy's telling you. Don't listen to social media. And it worked great, and I've done very well with that. But last year, I just kind of looked at it. And I'm like, we've got like 6,500 properties at the time. I'm like, there is literally a treasure trove sitting right under me that I could have access to at any moment. Obviously, I'm not the owner, so I would have to go to the owner and work out an arrangement. And so I was able to acquire a few deals that way. So when you as an owner terminate services and you're like, hey, I'm selling, you go to our website, you put in a form, and we get, it's a survey as well. So we know how happy you are. If you were pissed and you're selling, I'm probably not going to call you. I mean, I'll send you like an apology. I sure will. And I'll make contact, but I'm not going to ask about your property. It's obviously you don't like us, right? I get it. But if you're just selling and you just want to get out of the market, you're a tired landlord, whatever, I'm going to try to get the property and have BMG manage it. And then wholesalers, I've worked with them too.
So how often are there landlords who are just, tired of dealing with it, wanting to sell?
Daily. Literally daily, man. Tired landlords are nonstop, especially it depends on your area, Baltimore. And a lot of what I will talk about is Baltimore because that's where we are right here. Baltimore is a tough market to be in for rentals. We don't even manage in like 70% of the city at the moment. We used to take on any and everything. We manage everywhere. And one, the margins aren't there. Two, you're in court every 2 seconds. Lead paint lawsuits. It's not worth it as a property manager. You are literally throwing yourself in front of the owner and shielding them from the tenant as much as you can. Essentially, they're going to sue you both ultimately if something happens.
Mm-hmm.
So we try to avoid the tough areas the best we can.
So what happens to the properties of the landlords who want to sell when they come to you and say, guys, I'm tired of being a landlord or owning this property? Do they offer it to you guys, or do they just say, hey, who's a good agent that I can list this property with?
You know what we find, and so I didn't know this until last year because we didn't tinker with it. We just let them go. And then I think someone said something to me one day, why are you not monetizing that in some way, shape, or form?
Mm-hmm.
Refer it to an agent, do something with it. Hard money lender. What do you need? Insurance? Like, certainly make money on it. We just never did that. We just let them walk out the door. We didn't feel the need to do it. And so we started capitalizing it last year. And basically the 9 times out of 10, what I find is that when owners go to sell, they don't even tell us first. It's already on the market, which is crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
So we're actively managing, and usually they wait until it's vacant. And so it's in turn, right? We're working on the property. We're getting it prepared. And then we get an email or a form that says I'm selling. And then we go look online. It's like, this has been on the market for 30 days. They never told us that. 9 times out of 10, they already have an agent from when they bought the property. And so by the time we get in there and we say, hey, we can help you out, they're like, no need. I already told John that when I sell it, he'd have the listing. So that certainly creates a challenge for us, but we did put a new clause in our PMA, first right to sell. So we'll see how that goes. That's new.
Yeah, I think we have that in there too. We've had that in there for a while. And if somebody's like, hey, look, like my uncle's an agent, we're like,
sure.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
fine,
we're not going to
do
be D's about it.
But I think we try to take, every piece of that, a little piece of each.
Absolutely. And as you should.
Yeah.
I mean, people should understand that. Yeah, you are a resource. You know a lot of people. You can connect with whatever you need, and everybody wins.
So you mentioned turnovers. When in the process of a turnover, who goes to the property, and then how do they determine when it's an owner's property who you're managing the property for? Who determines what work is going to be done and what work isn't going to be done that can be fly by?
So I can take you quick through the process. So when you as a tenant give notice to vacate or skip out on us, essentially it triggers our workflow of our checklist for each team and what they need to do. And so it starts with scheduling the move out inspection. So typically you're going to give notice now. You're going to move out January 20th or so, 60 days out. Remember I said the tickets go to the maintenance coordinator and then you put it on the calendar. Same thing with the inspections and whatnot. And so that tech knows 2 months out generally. It's the maintenance tech. They're going to have a move out inspection to do. We found agents. even some property managers, a lot of people don't have eyes for what should really be done. The techs seem to have the best eyes. Not always. You know, some people are probably thinking you're crazy. The agents, they know. It's fair. But they also don't want to sit there and nitpick a property and go through everything and check the plumbing under the sink and all that jazz. So our tech will go out, do the inspection. They will, in AppFolio, so the report gets shared with the PM. The PM will go through and look at all the flagged items that the tech indicated needs to be done. The PM will then call them if they need to and go over it. And then when the tech submits the inspection report at the bottom, it'll give their estimate. So as they're already going through it, you know, they've got a quote prepared. So that immediately goes to the owner. Within 24 hours of move out, the owner already has 48 hours. The owner has a quote and an inspection report to view. And at that point, we let the owner decide, hey, you know, we can do it for $1,200, $1,500, $5,000, depending on how much of a mess it is. Do you want us to do it or not? And we can do it in-house. Great. 90% of the time, we're going to be cheaper than a contractor. We're welcome. We'll get you more quotes. It's a waste of time. We should really focus on getting the work done and getting your next tenant in. But certainly some people want 3 quotes and it's like, all right, there's a week of vacancy, you know,
Right.
just wasted 30
I think
bucks,
that's
50
what people
bucks, whatever.
definitely overlook, the time it takes to get that cheapest quote in there, get it done. It's like, by the time you do all that, you've just wasted a week, like you said, or 2 weeks. Like, okay, well, you just spent how much on your mortgage? Your mortgage is what, $1,500? Like, you just wasted $750.
All the holding costs, man. And I tend to not look at things in the terms of the expense. I look at what's the opportunity cost? What did I lose here? I lost, let's say it's a $3,000 rent. $1,500 is gone that I could have made right there. Yeah. That's gone. And that's a lot of money to be tinkering with right there. And that's a big difference. That's your leasing fee to the agent. Now you're paying it twice. Right. For just wasting time.
So what are some of your goals going in? We're about to end here 2023.
Yeah.
And starting 2024, what are some of your goals for 2024 personally and for the company?
Personally, is to get my butt in better shape, man. COVID really got me. I've always been very athletic, sports, not super competitively, but I've always engaged in sports. I told you I'm playing basketball after this. Had a son, 15-month-old. He's a lot of work, but I certainly let that get to me. Probably drank a little bit more than I needed to. Got a belly. Never had a belly in my life. And
welcome to the club.
Yeah, boy. I know what it feels like, man. It's a thing. But anyway, so yeah, get my butt back into shape is really my big priority. Physically, mentally, the whole nine. And read a lot of books. When I'm in good shape and I'm feeling good and drinking a lot of water, I'm reading a ton. And I haven't read a book in a month, which is not good. I should be reading one a week is what I'm accustomed to. And so that's for me. And then and continue to buy rental properties, man. Like, I'm trying hard. I'm not finding a lot of good deals. That's the problem. A lot of people are, especially me just getting into the scene here, locally with people knowing me, people already have their crowds and stuff. So I'm it's hard. And I tried going the cold calling route and doing my own wholesaling thing. It just crashed. I need someone that knows sales.
Do you have plans to go after the ones that you guys manage who the owners want to get rid of?
Oh yeah. I can't go after them because it'd be a conflict because I'm an employee there.
I guess I don't know if there's like a line between like going after them and them saying, hey, I want to get rid of this property. Can you help me with that?
Oh, certainly. So anytime they want to get rid of a property, I'm the first one to call probably after the PM to understand the situation. But I get all of the emails. So every day I get at least 1 or 2 between the whole company. And I'm like, oh, okay. And Sellers Point, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna call that guy right now. That's perfect. And see what's up.
So I have two more quick questions. So make it quick.
Yeah, fire away.
What percent of the portfolio is Section 8 versus market tenant?
5 to 10% Section 8. Probably definitely closer to 5%. We don't do much Section 8 at all.
Gotcha. And then at what point do you guys file a failure to pay?
Failure to pay rent? Depends on the jurisdiction. So that's something you in property management, you have better have a good attorney. You will get your ass jacked up in 2 seconds. And we've been jacked up. Look at the records. We've been hit. And it's stupid stuff like we weren't following that lease exactly how it said and the judge interpreted it one way. It's crazy. So have a good attorney and make sure you're buttoned up with that stuff. You can get yourself in a whole lot of trouble there.
So I mean in terms of like if the tenant hasn't paid rent and now it's the 10th of the month.
Yep.
Do you guys file on the 6th? Do you file you give them until
He's
the 15th?
saying in different jurisdictions, the rules are different.
They're different.
As far as like when you can file?
Oh yeah. When you can charge late fees. So I'm going to quote this wrong probably, but I believe in Philly you charge late fees on the 10th. I could be wrong on that. I have so many jurisdictions now. There's like 30 counties probably, but different cities, different states, different towns. Our Laurel office has PG, Montgomery, Anne Arundel, DC. I think I said, I don't know if I said Howard. Within those, there's townships that have their own rules. It's
I guess I'll
brutal.
simplify that question then. Do you guys file as soon as you're legally allowed to?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
So let's say, for example, Baltimore County, Baltimore City, you're late after the 5th, you'll be filing on the 6th.
The moment we can file, we are. Yep. You get, and the way, so our company, everyone's talking leading up to that the 1st. For sure, because that's when rents are due. And then leading up to the 6th, rent week is like, we're swamped, man. We're following up with tenants. Owners going to be calling the 6th. Check with that tenant, make sure they paid. Like, we're really scrambling at that point.
You guys call the tenant first on the 6th before filing, or you just
We
automatically
call it on
file?
the second.
Oh, just okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a lot of automation. So AppFolio is great with that. They'll continuously notify them leading up to rent being due, and then even notify them that rent's late. But every Friday, our PMs are to call the tenant if they haven't paid, each one of them, and put the notes in our system. So then their manager can rip through the delinquency and see what's up. But to answer your question, yeah, man, with fair housing, especially when you get bigger, you have got to do things across the board the same way and just follow the book. Don't try to veer away and be cute about anything. Like, if you can file on the 10th, if anything, make it later. Don't dare try to do it a day early. You get a good slap on the hand there.
Yep.
So basically, we're filing like probably 10 days a month. And we use Eviction Assistant to do that. It's a company called Everett down in Columbia. Plug to them. But they're fantastic, man. They have all of our information in there. It's a few clicks, and they're doing everything. They're sending their agents and doing all the work for us.
Nice.
Yeah, you don't need an attorney. Don't spend that much money. Sorry, attorneys.
Yeah. Yeah, but the attorney is important too, because we just had
For other things, yes.
Yeah, we just had a attorney on last week, Diana at DK Law.
She's great.
Yeah, she's really good, and she like opened up my eyes to a couple of things. I'm like, God damn, I got to change up a little bit of stuff I'm doing.
A lot of stuff. I'm sure it's hard, man.
Protect yourself.
We're all doing stuff wrong and don't even know it. Everyone. If you find me one person that's in property management this isn't selling, basketballs. There is a lot of stuff going on in here, and it's changing all the time. During COVID, I can't even remember the last 3 years, because the roller coaster of, all these different acts that were coming out and changing. Oh, now you can't file. Oh, now you can. Oh, now you can't. Oh, now you got to wait. Oh, now
trying to get your money from the city and all those
yeah.
different programs. God,
Yeah.
that was such a nightmare. I'm still waiting on money from the freaking eviction prevention program.
Oh,
It still
yeah.
hasn't paid me.
Yep. So it's a challenge, and I encourage anyone that is in property management to ditch the clipboards, ditch the paper, go automated, go solutions that connect your team together, go workflows, because when things change, like a few years ago, hey, now you can't file until the 8th. Okay. What happened before that was email the whole company so they know, and hopefully they do it right. That's not the way to do it. Now follow the workflow, and we'll see if you're late. We see if you messed up. I see a dashboard constantly, so you don't want to think about that.
AppFolio is really good at that. So like if you're out there and you have a significant, I think you need 50 properties minimum, or 50 units.
I think it is 50.
As soon as you get 50 units, get into AppFolio. Don't wait.
Something similar.
Yeah. AppFolio. I went for Buildium to AppFolio, and it was just, it's so much better.
Yeah.
It also is it is what you feed it.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
absolutely.
like the big part
There's
of it.
a lot of limitations, and it's a one size fits all deal, but certainly at a minimum use that, and then until you figure out what you don't like and use something else. But yeah, you need a good software, man.
Yeah.
You need a great software.
Yep. Well, Tony, I appreciate you coming down.
Yeah.
And talking about your journey here and property management. It's always fun talking to another property manager and hearing the similar problems and fun stuff that we deal with on a daily basis.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, definitely. We also want to announce that we have another event coming up.
Yes, we do.
January 11th. January 11th, 6 to 9, CVP's in Towson.
Upstairs.
Upstairs. It's going to be great. If you're looking to sponsor, hit me up at ryan@pepropertymanagement.com and let me know.
See you guys there.
See you guys there. All right.